I'd like to welcome everybody to the August meeting of the Planning and Zoning Board, and glad you're here. As always, we start the meeting off with a prayer, and I've asked Cisco to lead us in prayer.
Let us pray. Our most heavenly gracious Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the cool weather that you've blessed us with. Lord, we thank you for each family member here, Lord, of the board members. We thank you for this city and for what you've done for us, Lord, and we just ask that tonight that you would give us guidance and discernment, Lord, to make decisions on what we have to face will be pleasing to you. Lord, we ask all these things in your Son, Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Thank you. Hope everybody's had a chance to read the minutes of last month. And are there any corrections that need to be made to the minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion for approval of the minutes for July 7th? Ms. Wheeler moves for approval. Second? Second by Mayor Tennant. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. It's now time for a public forum. During this time, we allow members of the audience to come up and address the board. If you want to address the board, you'll have 3 minutes to state your case, and this will be the only time during the meeting that you'll be able to speak to the board. So at this time, I'll open up the public forum to those who wish to speak. If you'll state your name.
Yes, sir. My name is Duncan Rowe. I live at 214 Hasty Drive, and I'm just here to kind of go and trying to figure out. I was here, I don't know exactly when it was a while back, regarding a fire hydrant. So sorry. A fire hydrant that you guys were requiring me to put in. At that time, it was discussed with Adam and other people, and we were pretty sure that it was just, I think you got to shorten the cord there. It was discussed that we thought we would be able to just get a fire hydrant and put it in privately. I had a plumber come out that has done it for you guys. In fact, Mike Bauer, or Brower, I can't remember if it's Bauer or Brower, told me about this plumber. He came out and looked at it, and it turns out that it's 30 grand to put this fire hydrant in. I went down to the fire chief across from the Walgreens and talked to him about, and I measured from my fire hydrant that's already exists on the street to my porch, and it's 840 feet. The fire chief said there that they have 1,000 foot of hose, and that he didn't think that it would be a problem at all. But, I said, but if it's, a requirement of the Goodlettsville people, then that's different. And then I measured my neighbor who just moved in, a kid, but that's been grandfathered in, and that was 830 feet. So upon getting this plumber to give me this estimate, he told me it would be $25,000 for his labor and then $5,000 for the planning labor. I got to have a complete plan because it has to go through Metro. And Metro didn't really say they required one. But anyway, I'm here just to say I don't know what to do. Originally, when we talked, it was maybe going to be $6,000 or $7,000, and this whole thing was, started sort of with the person, my son-in-law, who actually bought the property. It seems it stemmed from a 21-acre parcel that he had, and I believe that the fire hydrant was at that point, started from that situation. But what happened is I bought 4 acres from him, and suddenly have to put in a $30,000 fire hydrant that, by the way, Metro told me that they would own. Not that I want to own a fire hydrant of any kind, but Metro actually owns it after you pay for it. So I'm just here, I don't know how to pay for that. I don't have that kind of resources. My wife and I were retired, and I've gone through a lot to build that house. We were over budget on the house, not that that's anybody's fault. But to have another $30,000 bill that I'm looking at to put in something that, according to the fire chief down there, he'd actually have enough hose to put a fire out in my house. I just need to know if we can do something about that, if we can extend it, or it seems to be that the initial thing was with the person that owned the property that I bought the property from, which happens to be my son-in-law, and it wasn't with me. But I'm sort of at a stalemate here, and I'm not sure what to do. I don't have the money. I think on the 5th was going to be the day. Is that right, Adam? Was the
Yes.
5th, the 6th?
Yes, the end of this, it was,
The 6th. I have an extension till the 6th, or you guys were going to start.
6th of August?
Yes, sir. And then you guys were going to, I don't know what you were going to do, maybe start charging me some sort of,
Well, I don't think, Adam, tell me if I'm wrong, we cannot make a decision on that tonight.
no, he just wanted to come speak to you guys. If it's something we could put on the agenda next month, if you all would be interested in reviewing it again. But as I explained to him, I couldn't put something back on the agenda unless someone asked for either a planning commissioner or a city commissioner, so that's why they wanted to come tonight. Get your take. I think they've emailed the city commissioners, but
It
your all's
seems-
email
seems
addresses
the-
are secret. so.
The fact that the Goodlettsville Fire Department has that much hose is news to me. Is it news to everybody? Or does that make a difference?
I don't think it makes a difference to your, whatever you would call it, your law or requirement. But he said, we have an extra 150, 160 feet. It shouldn't be any problem to put a fire out on your house. I mean, it's the same as my neighbor who just, it's the same. I mean, if they're going to have to go 830 feet to his property to put it out. And he doesn't have to buy a $30,000 fire hydrant. I mean, the people that I bought the property from, my son-in-law, they're still planning on building up there. I mean, if we could put this off till they build, it would be, I just don't know exactly what to do. I know one thing is that I can't afford it.
So tonight, you all have the option, if you want, we can bring back on the September meeting for discussion again. Yeah, this is just him, he wanted to come speak to you guys, because I don't give out you planning commissioners' email addresses. And the city commissioners, of course, are published, but the planning commission, this is a time for people to come speak on these items. But yeah, I don't think y'all have to make any decision tonight, but if you want them to come back and speak, we can put it on the
What
agenda.
happens with the fact that he will be delinquent starting the 6th?
If you all would be open to it coming back at the September planning commission, I would hold off anything for y'all to review it.
I think that's the only thing we can do is to hear it again unless somebody else has a different opinion.
Yeah, I do have a question. Is there anything else that I can provide to you folks for the next month?
That'd be up to Adam.
That'll be if y'all agree, be September 8th is the next meeting because of the Labor Day weekend holiday, so.
Is there any objections to putting this back on the agenda and hearing it again?
Mr. Rowe, have you gotten more than one quote on the installation of that fire hydrant?
No, but I did get a verbal quote from another guy that did my sewer lines, and it was right in that same, he just said, look, this is going to cost about that much. The recommender, Mike Brower, recommended the guy that did this. He does a bunch of stuff for you all in Goodlettsville, and he said he was like, he just recommended him, so I went with him. But I don't see how it, when I went and talked to Metro, they said it would probably be even more than that, so he told me that I should build a swimming pool instead, and they said I couldn't afford that either. But,
Is your house sprinkled?
is it what?
Is it sprinkled?
No, it is not. I think you're asking if it has a sprinkler system?
Yes.
Not on the inside, no. That wasn't required at the time of building.
Well, I'd say if there's no objections, we can hear it again in September.
Okay,
I can't make any promises.
right, I understand.
And, this has been going on for what, 2 years?
One,
1 year?
yeah.
Yeah, we did original 6 months and another 6-month extension.
Okay, I guess get with Adam, get it on the agenda for September.
Okay,
And
I appreciate it a lot.
we're not trying to be hard-nosed, we're trying to be fair, we're trying to be consistent. And trying to, what we do for one person, we need to do for everybody, kind of a thing. So,
Well, you're not doing it to people that buy the person that just moved in next door is a new buyer, and you're not doing it to him, so I guess it's
Yeah, it's
just,
with the subdivision process.
I'm
They-
sorry, what?
It's with the subdivision process, that's
Yeah.
where the requirement come in. They're correct that the existing houses around there, we didn't have to do anything, so.
well,
we're just a two-house subdivision, but go ahead, sir.
put it on the agenda,
Okay,
and any information you can bring or talk to Adam about would be helpful.
okay. I'll just
If,
contact you, Adam, and ask if there's some additional materials.
My best guess is if you just came and said, please just disregard this, we probably wouldn't or may not.
Right,
So come with some other ideas and, some more information for us would be helpful.
okay. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks.
Is there anybody else that wishes to address the board? Seeing no one else, do I have a motion to close the citizen comment?
So move.
So moved by Mayor Tenney. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. McNeil. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Forum is closed. I need to go back just a second to item number 1. I failed to get approval of this agenda. So do I have a motion to approve the agenda as written?
Mr. Chair, make a motion.
Mr. Barnfield makes a motion to approve. Second by Mr. Parnell. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Okay. Item number 4, request letter of credit for 1-year extension. This is from Meridian Capital Group. Is there anybody here representing this item? Adam?
All right, this is the project we talked about last month. The planning commission deferred to October. It's this property's been going on for a long time. Currently, we have the 14 recorded single-family lots on it. So we have to have a bond. As you can see, the construction's been lapsed for at least 3 years now or more. So we require a bond to be maintained to guarantee the future roadway construction. Nothing has been built out here. There's no homes on it, so there's really no reason to not extend it. I do think we probably won't see the project be built as it's shown here. The cost of it, they've had some issues. That's why they're trying to do the revised drawings. So the bond's just going forward to guarantee if someone does come in to build, it would guarantee the road be built at least to it. These are all private improvements. I'd recommend, we did add some amount to it for inflation to increase it to $235 for another year. So our options would be approve it with a 1-year extension at the amount discussed. We could do it another amount. It's kind of hard to give it an amount because I know in talking to them, they're not going to build this as it's shown. They'd like to revise it just because it's so expensive. Or 3, we could deny the bond extension and direct us to send a notice to pull the bond. But since no one's actually living there, it's just raw property, I don't see a lot of incentive to do that. That's why I recommended extending it.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Adam? Adam recommends to extend this letter of credit for 1 year. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Who is that? Oh, Mayor Tennant. A second? Second by Mr. Gilmore. Any questions or comments?
Is that for $235,000 bond for a year?
That is
that what the motion is for?
That is Adam's recommendation. Is that
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, the
That's
way it's
okay?
written, yeah.
That was assumed, so for the 235 increase.
Okay, perfect.
I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5 is the Rivergate Infrastructure Plan. Do we have anybody here representing this? If you'll come and state your name, then we're going to turn it over to Adam, then we'll get back to you.
Good evening, my name is Jay Fulmer. I'm with Fulmer Lucas. We're the engineers on the project, and Kate Drosh is with Maris, the owner for the project.
Okay, Adam?
All right, we've seen this before, different stages, preliminary master plans. The Macy's area was the first phase, and we followed up the second phase earlier this year. This is a kind of an initial final master plan. We'll see more. This is their plan for the demolition of the building and site improvements, existing pavement, all the concrete islands, all that stuff with the mall area, except for on our portion, but except for the Dillard's section on the metro portion. And then their infrastructure, their private roadway plans, their sewer, their water, their utilities, and drainage. It would require additional plans going forward once we see buildings, parking, stormwater, things like that. This plan did include coordination with Metro Water and Public Works, Department of Transportation. The traffic study that was included in your packet, it follows Metro's provision. They did it for the whole project. And it includes not just traffic, it does pedestrian, and then transit needs also. Metro Planning Commission will also have to approve this drawing. As you see, here's the property line that cuts, or the city limits boundary that cuts through the project, all of our area to the north, Metro, this area here. We will, again, see additional plans for water quality designs, building parking, the building designs with upcoming master plans at the Planning Commission level. The traffic study recommended some their private internal loop roadway improvements. There are some on the, I think the off-site ones was the Conference Drive 386 interchange. There was a improvement there if you saw in the traffic study. One thing they're looking at doing to make this more pedestrian friendly and safe, right now, if you know the mall, we got those 2-lane roads in both directions. They're going to change that down the loop road to go like 2 through lanes with a center turn lane, and they're also incorporating a 10-foot like joint access, like a pedestrian bike facility on that also. So, but I just kind of showed some of the areas where the changes are happening. This is coming in Blueberry. Of course, the roadways, internal roadways will change with this, but you can see this is one of the areas that is changing with the striping at that intersection. I did these just kind of show, this is Rivergate Parkway. This is the private Rivergate Drive coming in. The TVA towers are here. You can see that some of the roadway improvements coming through, how they'll change that. The striping will change just to be basically 2 lanes, 2 through lanes each direction with turn lanes. The traffic study did not incorporate anything with Rivergate Parkway. As you know now, you've got your single left that turns in. I know one of our city commissioners asked about that to be reviewed. It wasn't part of this traffic study now reviewed. It wasn't something that incorporated for a recommendation. I think it was assuming with the traffic patterns on Rivergate Parkway to maintain that. More of the same, this is the old Sears building. This is near where the Target would be. Again, this is these are the existing lanes. These are kind of the perimeter of the project, and I'll show you some cross sections, but this would also get restriping the lanes and the 10-foot joint path through there. As far as the lanes, I know it's hard to see here. We met with our fire marshal to overlook at these lanes, make sure our fire trucks would be able to incorporate, which they won't have a problem. But 2 12-foot or 11-foot lanes, curb and gutter. These are your typical sections with parking on the other side of the road with sidewalks. There's an asterisk here because the way this project is, right now they're just building, the goal is to build the roadway and the infrastructure. But the buildings, future buildings will come in right in behind the sidewalk, and it could range for a couple feet depending on the use. So you're going to see additional pedestrian connections behind that. You know, the goal in the regional center was more urban kind of feel, and I think you'll see more of that once you actually see the buildings connect into it. Then other sections of the mall, like in front of where BJ's Wholesale is, you'll have the 3 11-foot lanes, curb, and then you'll have the 10-foot joint path there. So they are trying to make it more friendly for pedestrians and incorporate with the traffic also. Staff stipulation, our city consultant engineer has some outstanding comments on some roadway drainage capacity issues. Discussed with me, it wouldn't really change the design of the project, like layout, maybe some additional culverts and stuff. So that's something they want to look at. And 2, this project will be pretty good size when they go to grade it. There's some requirements when you got large acreage for temporary sediment traps and things when you're doing a large project of that nature. So they wanted to make sure we got those items completed before we issue a land disturbance permit. It will also require Metro Water and Public Services, Public Works, Department of Transportation approval also. So we'll need all that before we kind of get into the permit project. Motion options, we could approve the final master plan. This is the demolition of roadway and utility infrastructure plans based on the plans being consistent with our preliminary master plans with the staff stipulation listed. That'd be my recommendation. We could deny the final master plan with defined reasons and revisions, so I could come back with a resubmittal since this property is zoned for the proposal. Or 3, we could defer it if there's any additional information requested by the Plan Commission.
Okay. You want to add anything to what Adam has said?
Sure. This is an advancement of the original rezoning plan that we had submitted that outlined the campus, and there really haven't been any substantial changes to that. This is establishing the out parcels so they can go ahead and purchase the property, know what the cost is while the installation of the infrastructure, and then knowing that we're going to be coming back once we have detailed plans for what will be the out parcels that are created. So it's a intermediate step that you probably don't always see, but we're needing to do this for financing reasons and various investment committees and whatnot that have to approve it to move forward. And once we have this step accomplished, that's when we can, start construction, doing the demolition and a phased installation of the roadway connections and utility reroutes, and while we're developing the plans for the out parcels.
Okay. Any questions? I have a question. What is not going to be torn down?
You want to take the face?
Is it just Dillard's?
Just Dillard's.
So Penny's is gone?
That is
I've been hearing conflicting reports on that, so, and I thought Penny's was gonna be gone, so everything's gonna be leveled down, and when do you think this will start?
as soon as we have all of our permits in hand.
So sometime this year? You
I'm
don't
at
know?
the mercy of the municipalities and their permitting process.
Okay.
So, I'm trying to move as quickly as possible, obviously. This project has been before you all now a few times, and we've been working on it for close to 2 years at this point. So, really looking forward to getting it started.
Okay, looking forward to it.
Some selective demolition's easier to start than the rest because we have to get our sewer lines finalized as far as the plan reviews. We don't foresee any big changes, but we then have to submit them to TDEC, and there's just long items. We're still working through the final approvals by Metro's Planning Commission. That we've got, NDOT is reviewing the campus-wide in addition to having more focus on the Metro side, but there's so many moving parts with the jurisdictional zigzag through this. I feel really good about our momentum, but it is hard to predict. But it's been good so far.
Okay. Any other questions?
Probably have a bunch. Is that okay?
Floor is yours.
So what we're approving tonight, Adam, is basically the site layout, but this is including details. I mean, this is a lot of information. Are we really approving all of these details, or are we just approving a general layout?
Yeah, we're approving, they're basically construction plans for the infrastructure and the site demolition.
Okay.
When we met with Metro Public Works and NDOT several months ago, the road standards are their private road standards. A lot of those specs are their detailed specs.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the stormwater, as you know now, it's almost all paved site. There will be stormwater, but it is going to be phased in with the sections. That's something we've met with Metro Water about how we're doing that, because we have different stormwater requirements in Metro, so we're having to, we'll see how it all works out, but we'll have to treat them kind of separately. But that will come in like when we get the buildings and the site layouts for those individual areas. It could be in different phases, so.
Okay.
It's like a residential neighborhood plan, the road and construction plan, so we're just approving this.
Okay. The internal roads and layout, I mean, whatever works for the developer is fine. It is what it is. They know what they need. The roads that I kind of feel like are going to be collector streets probably are more of concern to me. And I would consider the Rivergate Drive that is going, basically trying to connect Rivergate Parkway to Conference. That road it really is a collector road. There's a lot of people that go from Goodlettsville to Hendersonville, and they're gonna get to the Vietnam veterans by that path. So that path is of great interest to me, and that path seems to be at least on the Goodlettsville side. So as I'm looking at the typical sections, I'm seeing a 10-foot multimodal lane in there. Can you put some meat on those bones and explain what that is and why that's there?
Yeah, the intent was to take it from a 4-lane cross-section down to 3 lanes in order to slow people down. This will now be a much more pedestrian-activated campus, and so the goals in most cities, and Metro pushed this on their portion, and what we included in the rezoning packet was to take it down to a 3-lane section with a dedicated lane for, cyclists can use it, pedestrians walking, pushing strollers, that way that they're safe and can get them around. So the goal is just to slow the vehicles down. We know that people cut through there, and we're hoping that they do it in a safer manner.
Okay. I would be extremely supportive of all of that on the internal streets. I want them to utilize the internal streets for their walking the dogs and having the carriages and all the fun stuff that they want to ride their bicycles and have a blast. I love that, but that road is a transportation road. That is a vehicular road to me. I may be the only one on this board that feels that way, but that to me, we're adding, now I'm not worried about traffic. I've been here long enough to realize that Rivergate Mall was once a major metropolis booming mall, and we had a lot of traffic when it was here. So I'm not necessarily worried about traffic, but that particular road, squeezing it from a 4-lane to a 3-lane doesn't make any sense to me. And I've seen enough streets through Goodlettsville that Metro has forced a bike lane on it, and nobody's ever in it, and it's just a nuisance. And I don't want this street to be a nuisance. I want this street to be a safe, reasonable pathway for people to get from this area to Vietnam vets. So I just wanted to point out to the board that differential was in here. I would rather see 4 lanes, but I may be the only one that feels that way.
That was also an item that was addressed in the original rezoning.
Okay?
And so we may be non-compliant with the original rezoning if we were to revert back. And I'll defer to Jeff Hammond, our traffic engineer. He can add to anything that I may have missed, but dual lanes makes people drive a lot faster. And it's a private drive. It's within easements that are shared by all those businesses. And so our goal is to slow people down. And if they choose to go around and take another path versus cutting through, then great. If they're visiting our site, even better. We hope that they come, but we just want to slow people down.
There's probably 4 or 5 stop signs on that road. Will that continue, or you gonna lessen it, or will there be more stop signs?
We've got a couple all-way stops planned. Right now, I think from the T intersection right there next to BJ's over to the signal by the gas station, there's 2 different full-way stops. And then we don't control the loop as it goes clockwise around by the Target, around by the Chick-fil-A, and in and out. So there's a portion to our first driveway that is included in our project, but the balance of it isn't.
Yeah, hi, Jeff Hammond, Birch Transportation. We did the traffic study for this project, and I would just say, talking about the reduction of lanes on that northern edge of the road, we have looked at that. We've looked at both existing traffic counts as well as what we project the counts to be with the full development of all of this through the year 2030, including normal background growth that we would expect to see independent of this development that would occur between now and then. The traffic volumes are well within the threshold of being able to reduce that lane. I know it feels like there's a lot of traffic on there. We know how much that is. We would estimate, when we do these counts, we do these over the course of generally 2 hours of the day in the morning and 2 hours of the day in the afternoon. And then we can develop from that an estimate about how much daily traffic that is. We would estimate there's somewhere between probably 4,000 and 5,000 cars a day on that leg now. And a 3-lane road can accommodate up to about 20,000. So we have a lot of capacity here on this leg, even if we were to reduce one of those lanes. One other benefit that we often see in a situation like this, where we do have development on both sides of the road, if you think about you're traveling down on that 4-lane and someone wants to turn left off of it, by squeezing that down and providing a 3-lane road, that gives that center turn lane. So it actually does provide a little more capacity maybe than what you would think in terms of just losing a lane. What we're actually gaining is a turn lane in a way that we don't have it currently. So that often offsets some of that lost capacity. So we have looked at that. As was answered already, we don't foresee many other changes to the traffic control on that leg, or any of the internal roadway streets that are being built there.
Okay, Jeff, you got some more questions, or?
Carry on with somebody else, let me think.
Mr. Chairman, I just asked one question, if it's okay. I understand the reason and what you're saying, taking the lane out. I know this is not going to be equivalent to retail as what Rivergate Mall was and the traffic that we saw, although we hope it's going to be a lot of traffic going in there for the retail and the restaurants that's going to be provided. I guess the question with taking a lane out, and if there is congestion, this would be a question, I guess, for the gentleman who just spoke. What about for emergency traffic trying to get through and hinder them because they've lost a lane of traffic? And I may be totally wrong. I'm just kind of trying to visualize this as what's been done in town.
Yeah, again, unfortunately, I wish I had some comparisons maybe to make in terms of streets that are similar to this with this level of traffic, but we would forecast there being plenty of an additional capacity for emergency vehicles, typical services, trash trucks and things that have to use this street. All of that, it will continue to operate, I think, much like it does today. I think a lot of this is because the traffic that we foresee coming into this development, there's not a lot of it that we would estimate being on that northern leg. I think what you're going to continue to see is much of the traffic that's there today will continue because, as was mentioned, it is that cut through from one street to the other. But to come into that area, we're seeing more of that coming down. If they were to come from I-65 coming in there off of Rivergate Parkway and then turning right to come down into the site around the southern leg of that. Some will, obviously, but we don't see that to be a huge issue. And then emergency services, just kind of like everybody else, with the amount of capacity that's there, we think that'll continue to be adequate.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
what about coming from Dillard's and BJ's onto Conference Drive there? Is that going to get narrowed down as well, where there's 2 lanes, 1 lane in and 2 lanes out?
As far as that you're going
It'd be,
southbound towards there, or when you're exiting?
Like you're coming out of the gas pumps at BJ's, Adam?
yeah, at this corner, yeah, this is the old Sears where you come and turn left, and you go around behind Target. So that's to say, I don't think that in part of this project, because it's
No,
outside of this
We're-
property.
We're not modifying anything to the north of that intersection.
That comes up to Conference Drive? That all stays the same?
Correct.
Okay.
Because it's outside of the project boundaries.
Well, it's
This is the edge of it here, this is the old Sears, and there's the Target Road, there's BJ's area here, so.
It's not a private drive from Conference to BJ's, is it?
Any other questions? Mr. Parnell?
A few. Okay, so the 3 lanes, my initial assumption was that it was 2 lanes in one direction and 1 lane in the other, but you're saying it's really just 1 lane in each direction with a turn lane in the middle.
Correct. So
Okay.
the addition of the turn lane is really what provides a lot of value, because otherwise somebody stops and backs up traffic behind them.
Yeah.
Just take a left, people start ducking around. Emergency vehicle comes, if people are side by side, they have a hard time getting over, but with that turn lane open, somebody's in the turn lane, they can move if an emergency vehicle comes. It'll function a lot better because of the unexpected stop in front of you is eliminated.
Yeah. Okay, so can you, again, I guess, let me just ask, can you put some meat on the bone with the 2-foot protection buffer and the 10-foot multimodal path? What does that look like? What is that?
We're looking at right now, we were looking at a raised concrete separator. And so there were some comments on the metro portion of that separation as well. And so what we're asking for today is that we get approval for the layout, we get approval for it as is, and if we have to modify based on any other conversations, that we would have to, we could either do that administratively through Adam, or we could come back to you guys if it was a big enough change. But right now, the plan is being presented as we think it will be with the separator. So if you add, it's for the pedestrian safety. If you have basically a 2-foot wide curb on we're taking the existing roadway and utilizing that width. And so we're restriping it for the extents, adding that barrier, and that way a vehicle, it's not going to be it's going to be something more substantial where a car would bounce off or hit a curb instead of some other delineator that's less effective.
Okay, but it's still going to allow stormwater runoff, because I'm assuming the crown
Yes.
of the street's going to be in the turning lane.
Yes, we've got the stormwater management all designed.
Okay, and so then, and that stormwater crosses over the multimodal path. Is the multimodal path also going to be asphalt?
That's the plan.
Okay. And the multimodal is basically, I guess, anything up to not a golf cart. It's any
No
walking,
motorized
running,
vehicles.
jogging,
Yes,
and
Basically a
bicycling.
greenway.
And,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I guess some people would use that. I don't think so. I just think it's going to be asphalt on the ground for nothing, but I just fear that. Look, I know the level of service, we go to A to F and D is passing, but I don't want a level of service D. I want people to be able to get where they're going. But honestly, it may be a moot point. If it's a moot point, if it's already been approved and we can't change that, then I guess it doesn't. Chairman, I guess it really doesn't matter.
Keeping it 4 lanes, I don't believe would increase the level of service, but I could be wrong.
We didn't really look at different alternatives for that. It was, assumed that this would be part of the site plan, just because largely we have these requests for this type of infrastructure to provide, ways for people to travel outside of a car. And so this was a way to do that. We do think that will pick up. I hear the concern about utilization of that. I think with the mix of uses that we have, as well as the existing uses that are there and surrounding this area, as you know, an emphasis on transit, which might provide, an additional, at least additional opportunity to the site. I think all those things make that type of infrastructure important at some level. What that looks like and how that functions on the road is certainly a fair question, but to provide that is helpful. If you were to look at 4 lanes, you could look at that analysis. I tend to agree you wouldn't see a major change. A lot of that is because what we look at is intersections. So that's what's important to us. The intersection of how all of these internal streets intersect. We typically wouldn't even have looked at that. When the Nashville Department of Transportation looked at our scoping documents, they expanded it greatly, and so we have 17 intersections in our traffic study, and that includes all of these internal intersections as well. So they shared some of those same concerns, and that's why those are even included in the report. You could certainly look at that, look at different configurations if you wanted to, but I think you would find it would be a very, very marginal level improvement. And aside from that, you could lose the ability to have some of those other modes represented.
Any other questions? Ms. Wheeler?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Some questions about parking. A development similar to this, with which I am most familiar, the trouble for them is parking and the various turnoffs to get to the parking. How many turnoffs are there? Do you all remember in here? I wasn't clear on just which ones of these would be turnoffs to parking.
Well, it depends on which stretch you're on. We've got bulb outs that go to feed future parking lots. And so depending on which road you're on, we have them labeled, A, B, C, D. You see there's different spacing requirements that we have to maintain, and minimums and maximums. And so that's what drove the design. But for instance, you can see on Road D, the east to west northern road, we really have one at the midpoint between the 2 north-south roads, and then a second one further east once you get past that main road. So we've got several opportunities for people to branch off, but we also don't have those out parcels designed yet.
Right, yeah, they're not ready yet.
There's the intent is for some of these to be built and developed by the applicant, and some of them will be sold and built and developed by others, just because they have different focuses.
In looking at it, there are none that adjoin the road as it goes through. There's the road, there's the walking area. There are no parking spaces, just like on a typical street.
Not along Rivergate Drive.
Yeah, along River, they're all parking lots is what we're looking at.
Correct. And then internally, we do have parallel parking spaces that are bulbed out and established on all the internal, more private roads.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Parnell?
Okay, so talking about intersections, you almost had me. I was right there with you, and in fact, I was ready to kind of back away and kind of give some attaboys. Because the intersections are vital. They are the important piece. So, okay, so I'm looking at Road B, and I'm looking where Road B comes into Rivergate Drive at the north side. and I'm picturing a car coming up to that stop bar and stopping, and wanting to make a left onto Rivergate Drive. And that driver is going to have to cross a 10-foot multimodal lane, look over a concrete barrier, avoid cars coming to the east side, possibly cross somebody that might be in a turning lane, and get to the other side in order to go west. That's harder than if he was just crossing a lane. If it was really just a lane in each direction and a turn lane, that's one thing, but now he's got to cross this multimodal lane too. And as far as, I don't know, okay, so help me out, is that intersection, is that a three-way stop?
It's an all-way stop.
It's an always, okay,
And a
four-way
concrete
stop. Okay,
barrier is 6 inches. It's the height of a curb.
okay, excellent. So one of the benefits of, because look, there's going to be more traffic there when this is built than there is today. And one of the benefits when you drive through there today is that you can have two people pull up to the stop, and a four-way stop in each direction. There can be two headed east and two headed west, and they all come up to the stop and they all go. Now it's going to be one at a time. Okay, that's going to back up. It just is. That's how that's going to play out. I'm glad it's a four-way stop, because that at least, somebody can cross all those lanes safely. But it's going to back up. There's going to be a line of people coming up to that stop, and they're not going to be able to parallel each other and go at the same time. They're going to have to, one at a time, go through that. That's going to be, again, I'm not going to complain about traffic at Rivergate Mall. I remember when it was crazy, but that particular segment is not an internal road to me to this development. It is a traffic carrying road, and I just personally think taking out a lane and putting in a multimodal I'm just not seeing that. I think that's short-sighted. I think that's going to hamper traffic. I think that's going to be a problem long-term, and I don't like it. But it may already be done, and if it is, so be it. It may not be already done, maybe we could do something about it, but I'm the only one that cares.
Well,
I don't know.
It
But-
depends what you're prioritizing. If it's moving people from the intersection by BJ's to the intersection over at Rivergate, then yes, having two people go parallel works better in side-by-side lanes. I would argue that it increases people's rolling stops, it increases the difficulty of the turns at the intersections coming the other ways, and it increases the potential for car wrecks. And it increases, doing what we've done increases safety. It slows people down. We don't want people flying through there. We want people to be safe. And if it slows people down going straight for another second so that they can take their turns going through the intersection, then as an engineer, I feel better about that design.
And I want to point out one thing, and I understand Mr. Parnell's concern, because we've all been to the mall, but we all got to keep in mind that we're transitioning from a dead retail site, to put it bluntly, to an active living, multi-use area that moving traffic's one thing, but safety of those pedestrians and bicyclists and those in that community that would be going from point A to point B is also paramount. So, and I think about the gulch that Smith G has designed, and there's no four-lane roads there, and some of the other communities, or if there is, I haven't seen it, or I was driving the wrong direction. So I I think a lot of it has to do with what the community will become, not what it is today.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, I'll be entertaining a motion. Staff recommends approval.
You done? I'll make a motion to approve
Mr. Barnesfield,
with staff stipulations.
okay. We have a motion for approval. Mr. Gilmore seconds that motion. Any questions or comments before we go to a vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you all.
Get busy. Hurry up.
We'll see you several more times.
No, because this new property it's not part of the subdivision. But you can ask Adam that. I think that's part of that's one of his, somebody else's was in grandfather in, I think they're part of an old subdivision.
Could that be a hardship deal for them?
And it might be. Maybe we'll find out in September. Okay. Thank you for your patience. We're ready for item number 6. Drew Hardison requests alternative building materials for a proposed accessory building at 1008 Caldwell Drive. Is anybody here representing this item? If you'll come and state your name, then we're going to turn it over to Adam, then we'll get back to you.
Drew Hardison, 854 Loretta Drive.
This tonight is alternate materials on an accessory building. Currently, the property's vacant. Their goal was to permit and build the accessory building and the house at the same time. We've had that come up several times, but you can't, of course, we can't permit the accessory building first, but we can do them together. So what the proposal is like I said, alternate materials. The Planning Commission is a board that can review alternative material requirements on these accessory buildings. The Board of Zoning Appeals don't have the authority to alter materials. There's really no limits on a property, slopes or width that dictates a material on a building. So that's why we wrote the accessory building where they could present to you guys. The property is a little over 2 acres on Caldwell. As you can see on where the property's at, it's one of the larger sections across from the park there. 12 Stones Golf Course starts at the bottom of the hill there. There is a house between them and 12 Stones there, the big red brick, if y'all know the area there. So that proposed house will be behind the tree line. If you notice where the other houses are, they're currently there, it'd be in behind that line. And the accessory building is proposed to be back closer to the boundary with the 12 Stone Golf Course. This is proposal of 1,200 square feet building, of course, 1 story, and they're proposing to do metal facade. The idea is to paint it to match, but the house, I've seen plans for it. It's a gorgeous home they're building, big, nice brick, cement fiber siding house, 3,000 to 4,000 square feet. I can't remember the exact square footage. So they're wanting to put this in behind it. This is looking at the road. If you know Caldwell, it's got a little hill. I know they're wanting to grade some of it, but it's, kind of sits, I think, almost 500 feet where they're proposing it from the roadway. So the question here is about the visibility, if we feel like it's worthy of a variance. A couple years ago, if you remember, we did an ordinance amendment in the R40 low-density residential zones. If you have over 5 acres, you can be exempt from matching your house materials, walls and roofs. due to the large acreage, but it has to be in behind the house. So this proposal is a little over, looks like about 2.5 acres. So options will be, we could look at doing a variance if we think it's worthy due to the limited visibility, or look at possibly amending our ordinance to drop that acreage down. Right now, anything over 504 square feet, accessory building has to match the house. So this one definitely would be, it's within the provisions of that. So that's what their request is, to be able to do, as you saw, the accessory structure as shown there, 1,200 square foot metal facility. Painted, the colors would match, but the materials would not. Options, we could approve it based on the limited visibility. I do think that'd be my recommendation, because this is a larger property. There is limited visibility from Caldwell. I'm not saying it would never be seen from the 12 Stones Golf Course, especially certain times of year. But as far as from Caldwell, it would be very limited visibility, because I think the houses, you'll be able to see it, but it's even further behind the house. We could deny the request, maintain the requirement to match the proposed primary house materials, or we could defer it. If y'all feel more comfortable with the ordinance amendment, that's something we could take to our city commission, but it would be subject to them. The tricky thing about when I meet with people, especially at this stage, where they're looking to build both, if they build a metal house, which they could, then there would not be a question. So I think my understanding, they want to put more money in the house structure than the accessory building. So that's what we're looking at, the accessory materials, or the materials on the accessory building. So.
Anything to add to what Adam has said?
Yeah, as Adam mentioned, my wife and I are in the process of purchasing this property. You could see how aesthetically pleasing this shop will be. It'll be located approximately 500 feet off of Caldwell, so it's a significant distance away. There's also a tree line there. It'll also be compliant with current codes as far as setbacks go. It'll be 40 feet off the back property line and 20 foot to the side. In addition to that, there's a tree line in the back that separates 12 Stones Golf Course from it. And again, it's located behind the house, so the structure will complement the home as far as color. It's a ribbed metal building is what it will be, but we'll complement the home with color. That was the instruction I was given from my wife. If I was going to get this, it must match. So no one wants this to match more than we do. So just requesting the variance. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
What about the neighbors on either side? Have they been notified of him putting
I haven't
in?
notified them. One of the neighbors is here, but
Yeah, actually, one of the neighbors is here, Brian Dudney. Bill is to the left, and he is aware. So yes.
Cost is your primary reason for wanting this style building?
Yeah, cost and it's the style that I'm looking for. This will be kind of a woodworking shop for me. So, yes, sir. Well, in addition to that, I think we can see from that picture that this is an attractive building. It's at least I think so.
I was going to comment that it has a lot of details. You got the covered porch, you got several windows and complement it. Is what's on the sides you cannot see?
Nothing. They'll just be, well, probably what we will do is we will have one window on the right side, and there'll only be one man door, which would be on the porch side, and on the back of the shop would be nothing. And the shape of the building will be exactly that. I can't promise that the color would be exactly that, but it would be some shade of white or gray to complement the home. But that is the exact shape that we're looking to build.
The only comment I might suggest is that maybe some detail on those sides we cannot see. Whatever that might be.
Well, as I mentioned, we'll be adding a window on that side to kind of help enhance that and bring in some natural light into the shop.
Any other questions, comments?
Just comment. I know sometimes I can be difficult, sometimes I can be easy. I think this is one of the times where I'm going to be a little on the easy side. I know this land like the back of my hand. I know this location. Where this is located, no one's going to see it because not only the size of the property, but the topography of the property. Really, the only person that's going to see this is the neighbor to the left, which would be, I don't know, north, I think. And they've said they're okay with it. So this is one of those times where it's going to match from anyone that happens to see it from the street, which would take some effort. They're going to see a white building that matches a white house. So I have no problems with this. I would vote for this easily.
Any other comments, questions? All right, we're looking for a motion then. Choices are approval, denial, or defer. Move to approve. We have a motion to approve by Mr. Parnell. Do I have a second? Second. Second by Mr. McNeil. Any other further comments or questions? All those in favor say aye. 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 Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 7, the Community Development Staff requests recommendation to the City of Goodlettsville to amend zoning ordinance sections 14-208 to define increased public hearing time frame for zoning ordinance and zoning map amendments and to reference state law vested rights for the site plan approvals.
All right, this is two-part. I just want to put this in our ordinance. The second part I meant to earlier, but what it basically, I just want our ordinances to latch this, to coordinate with state law on these two items. The second one down there is about public hearing phase. It wouldn't be at this board's level. It's at the city commission level. But a couple years ago, the state changed it from 15-day notice to a 21-day notice. This is for zoning ordinance, zoning map, annexation. So we're just changing that from 15 to 21 days in our ordinance. And the first part, vested rights. Several years ago, the state did a amendment on vested rights. They've changed it several times. It's very detailed. It's like probably 4 or 5 paragraphs long. I kind of tell people it's a 3, 2, 10, 15, one of those kind of deals where the preliminary plan is good for 3, till you get your final plan, and that's good for 5. And then once you get permits for a regular project, it can go 10 years. And that's what your regulations in place stay with it. And then a phase project can go up to 15. And what's tricky about that, say you get your preliminary approved this year, the next year you come with the final, then it's good for 5 years. That 5 years is regardless. So without spelling all that out in our zoning ordinance, I just reference those TCA code sections because no telling what it's going to be. It changes every year. So in our site plan, right now, it currently says 6 months. So, I mean, that's long gone, what we can do. So I just changed that to just reference the Tennessee Code section. There is some thought that, you know, with our stormwater permits we get through TDEC, that we can still require that on the current ones. But as far as our zoning, our design centers, they're held to whatever those plans are approved as. Even when they turn in plans now, they're vested as what they turned it in under, then they get vested again once it gets approved. So it's tricky. But it does require active permits, so it is for a lot of the people who are behind the law, it's good for some parts, but it does require the developer to stay active. But that's what these 2 amendments are, is just to reference state laws. And state law, they give us a lot of authority and a lot of leeway on zoning, but there's certain things like minimum rights, these kind of natures, they're laws that we can't be more stringent than them on that. And we could even, I guess if we wanted to, we could make our public hearing 30 days. I mean, we have the ability to do that. We cannot reduce minimum rights. So, but those are to define our ordinance will be aligned with state law on those. So. Motion options, recommend approval of the City Commission for amendments to zoning ordinance based on state law, or we could defer if there's any additional requests at this time. So,
does anybody want to make a motion on this? Mr. Barnesfield makes a motion for approval. Do I have a second? second by Ms. Wheeler, is that right? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Then we have discussion items.
All right, just a quick reminder, we have our fourth comprehensive plan meeting, review meeting coming up on the August 25th, 6 o'clock. Our goal is to have a draft plan for y'all to review that, you know, the goal is to have it done by the end of the year. But we want to present a draft to make sure everybody's cool with the way we're thinking. It'll give us time. Sean Falzer's on staff with us now, and we got an IT a GIS person to help us with the map. So we're hoping we can do all this internal. But we just want the general guideline that we'll be talking about on the August 25th. Shouldn't be any surprises. We've been talking about this all along, but we want to kind of have just a plan for y'all to see. Other thing, another part of the moratorium other than the comprehensive plan was the zoning ordinance amendments to align with some thoughts about what we want to see with parking, homes, materials, and even apartments, mixed use. We've talked about these ordinances several times, but my goal is to have them on the September agenda for formal recommendation to our city commission. As you saw with that new state law and the time limits, it's now our process about a 4-month process. I want to go ahead and get these going before we can get done by the end of the year. We talked about these in depth last month. I won't go through them. There is a change we made based on the discussion last month, number 6. It talked about mixed use in commercial zone districts. I know there's some feelings that maybe we don't want to see more of that. We want to really protect our commercial corridors going forward. One of the things we talked about last month, if we do, you know, if there is a project we see going forward in our commercial corridor area we think might be qualified for mixed use, we want to see a minimum 25% of that area remain commercial. And the goal with this is we want these corridors that we're talking about commercial to be commercial corridors. So it would require a good percentage of commercial. Basically, the whole ground level on a 4-story building would have to be minimum commercial for us to even to look at it. I know there's a question about some projects out there that are kind of, you know, we denied them, but I think they're still kind of around to see how we would feel about these projects going forward. But I feel like at the last month's meeting, there was some pretty strong feelings that if we do approve any, which might be limited, they want to make sure the commercial percentage is high. Now, in our regional center, or the mall areas, we defined when we did that where the commercial was. It's along Rivergate Parkway. There's some section at the corner of Bluebird, like a little intersection. We knew the whole area wouldn't be commercial. So we've defined that in the regional center where commercial would be. And in those buildings, it's 50% of the ground floor, or 50% of that ground floor area minimum. So if we do this, we probably want to change that to reflect across any commercial area that at least 25% of the buildings has commercial in it. Of course, this wouldn't affect the mall area because it's already vested under the previous regulations. So, but that was the only change other than the things we talked about before. But if y'all have any question about any of these for the meeting, if you want to, reach out to me and make any suggestions or anything. But I'm trying to get these going forward, get them adopted before the moratorium's over. So I think the 25% is going to limit the ability to get a lot of mixed use, which I don't know if that's necessarily out of line with some of our thoughts. Because one of the parts of the comprehensive plan was preservation of the commercial corridors for our future tax base. So. But I'm up for any kind of, I know this is a tough one because anything you do really kind of, there's problems with it anyway you put that mixed use. You say it's not going to have mixed use, which I think the city wants to have long-term the ability to look at projects. You know, something might be in a spite, we might think it's appropriate, but we do want to make sure there's enough commercial. So. And the only other thing was the design guideline. We're going to push that through too. The increase from 50 to 75% brick or stone, things we talked about. No, that's all I had. So.
Okay, so that meeting's at 6 p.m., August 25th.
Yes.
I'll try to put that on my calendar to be here.
And I'll try to send y'all out probably like I normally do a packet a couple days in advance.
Okay,
Of course, we will post what we create too on our website. I know y'all get those also, but that way something for y'all to read and see. So. Sean's done a neat job with it, the way, the format and the way it's going to appear. I think y'all be, it's going to be more than just like a text document, that the way it's presented, so. Hopefully it'll be accessible, you know, people can get it, read it, understand it, and get something out of it, so.
Okay. What else we got?
That's it tonight.
I wanted to bring one thing up, if we have just a second. That's on the citizen comment part of our meeting. Going back in the last 12 months, we had 3 different times where we had massive citizen comments, where they all said basically the same thing. And I think y'all remember which ones those are. Is there anything, when those months happen, do we just have to give them 3 minutes, or is there some other alternative we could have when, because I know one of them took like an hour and 45 minutes, I think it was, to get through all the citizen comments. Is the policy just grin and bear it? And I don't mind the comments, but it's just repetition over and over, same thing.
It isn't policy, it's state law now, so it's bring your popcorn and your Diet Coke and write it out. So that happened 3 years ago, I guess, 2 years ago.
And the 3 minutes is part of that state law?
No, sir. That is something that you all can adopt yourself. Actually has already been adopted by the commission.
A couple years ago, yeah.
That's where that is, but that's, used to, it was kind of hodgepodge of many things, but as long as, and Adam, remind me if I'm wrong, as long as it's in regards to a subject matter on the agenda, every person sitting in the room has a right to say something.
Okay. It has to be a subject matter on the agenda.
Yes, sir, I
So,
believe so, because they
tonight-
try to change it this year to where it can be anything, but I think it's still about subject matter on the agenda.
So tonight, when the gentleman was on the Hasty property, that was not on the agenda, so he should not have been allowed to speak, is that correct?
Well, I'm not sure our policy, the Board of Commission will let anyone speak about any subject matter.
Okay.
And that's a decision that the board has made, so I think it's something that has to be decided by this body or the Board of Commission one.
Yeah, our bylaws we adopted, it was just any planning-related matter. So planning, they couldn't come here and talk about their trash service because we don't have any, you know, this board has nothing to do with that. But it was more about anything planning, and that's pretty broad.
Well, I didn't mind the gentleman
Yeah.
speaking tonight, I just didn't know the proper procedure.
And that's, you know, like his example, you know, like I said, I don't give out your all's email addresses or contact information.
Yeah.
So, because I know, you know, you're all appointed volunteers, so, I mean, the public forum's a good time for what he did to come speak to y'all as a whole than trying to email and call y'all individually, so.
Yeah, sometimes I'm a pushover, I'm gonna have to be more hard-nosed, I believe, on some things, so. Yeah, I was too, but I'm just talking about, you know, I think last month we had, you know, is actually wasn't the part of the citizen comments. I should have been more hard-nosed and said no, but anyway, that's all I had. Okay. I did make that suggestion those times, several times. Yeah. All right.
It's hard to cut people off.
Okay. Well, I appreciate everybody being here tonight, and I want y'all to have a good rest of the week, and I'll see you on August 25th, I guess.